All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going one step further than we have in the past. We are going into uncharted territory. If you are a Patreon supporter, you will know that this job has been coming up for a while. We've been going through all of the prep in real time before we actually shoot it, and ta-da! The shoot is over. Now we're going to look at the results and we're going to see, did we change anything? What did we change? What didn't work? What did work? Did it turn out any good? Those are the questions that we are going to attempt to ask today. Come with me on this journey, ladies and gentlemen, into the world of commercial cinematography. And what we are doing, if we look at this project, remember, this is a project where we're doing about 500 shots in 2 days. It's sort of a montage-y ad, but with a theme that is underlying the entire thing. You could take what I just said and you could say that about any ad and you'd be better off. So I said nothing there, but I'm going to say something later on. Just you wait and see. It's only going to get better. Sorry, it's not going to get worse than it is right now. What are we doing? Well, we've got 3 shots that we need to get done in a bedroom. Okay, you've already seen the location in the previous videos for the Patreon supporters. If you want to support the channel, Patreon's the place to do it. You get access to a whole bunch of other behind-the-scenes stuff and different content each and every week. But this is from the video. I just took a still. This is from the video of the actual location, so you can see what we're working with. We've got one window, one tiny little bedroom in a house. We have about an hour to shoot this whole setup. That means we need to have the lighting already in place. We need to walk in. Everything needs to be set up. We're shooting this with 2 cameras in a little tiny space that isn't a studio. Less than ideal. So are 2 cameras even going to be valuable here? That's the question that we are going to attempt to answer. Now, if we come in here, let's just go back to our boards. What shot out of these 3 do we have to focus on for the lighting? Right, out of these 3 shots, what's the most important one, right? Cancel all this stuff out. We're going to talk about that later in a different video, right? Keep up, come on. This is the shot, right? This is the wide shot. This is the one we need to focus on. And here, what do you see? What kind of scene is it, right? We have to ask ourselves, is it a bar scene? Is it an office scene? Is it a dining room table scene? Is it in a vehicle, right? What's a vehicle shot? These 2. What's not a vehicle shot? 2 people in a bedroom facing each other. That should be a huge clue. They're facing each other. Now, they're not facing the same direction. They're facing each other. You're right. If you said it's an office setup, right? Just imagine there's a little desk here, and instead of this daughter, painting something on this guy's face, it's a job interview, right? You got yourself an office setup. And we know, or I know, if it's a daytime scene, office setup, we want the action to be perpendicular to the window, right? That's what we want. So how are we going to shoot this? Well, let's get in there and see, right? If we come back to our location, the option is we have to be fast. We have to be very, very quick. So lighting from inside, probably not going to happen. Also, lighting from inside, when we have to do the wide shot, not possible, right? Because here, first thing we're going to do is we're going to move out this bench a little bit so we get less door in the frame when we're actually shooting the wide shot. So we're going to move out, this is a bed. We're going to move out the bed. We're going to get them to sit sort of about here. That means we don't have to see the whole window, right? We're going to keep a little bit of window off so that we can light from it. But we don't want to be lighting from inside. So it has to come from outside. What's the easiest thing to do from outside? Are we going to hit them with the soft hub? Are we going to, do we need some big giant lamp over here or something? Not really, right? I say, I can't even remember what the lamp was. My guess is going to be an M40, right? A little airy M40. We blast it through here, maybe even like an M18, actually. We're going to soften it up. Maybe you soften the top and you don't soften the bottom. So we just get a little bit of hard light coming through. Curtains, shears, as always. This side of the room is going to be blacked out, right? We're just going to put up black here for the time being. You'll see that that changes, I believe, as we start shooting. But we've got white walls, so there's going to be lots of bounce in the room. We want to cut that down because we're going to play it down. We could play this up. We're not going to do that. Why? Why aren't we going to play it up? Because that's the choice that we made. You have to make a choice. You get to decide what it's going to look like. If you think the result is too dark, it's too down, it's not for you, easy solution, people. Just light it up like a Christmas tree, and then you too can talk about it. Okay, let's go into our final images. So we've got wide shot, dad getting face painted by daughter. Okay, ta-da. And we move to single on dad, ta-da, and single on our daughter. Okay, so let's start with the wide shot. What did we end up doing? Number 1, you'll see we came over here and we came out behind the door. Why? because the door, and of course the door doesn't have to be angled like this, right? The door could be more shut. It could be more open. Why do we have it like this? Because it adds another layer, same as this. Now, if you've been following along and you've seen past videos on the channel, you know that normally I would come in here with like another lamp, like give me something over here or give me something over here on this side. Like just give me a little bit of detail because it goes to flat black fairly quickly. And you can see how down we are making this room, like super, super, super down. There's not a lot of level coming in here because we don't want to compete with what's outside. We don't have that big of a lamp anyway to begin with, so we're going to go way, 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 way down. And really all we have to do, the only decision that we have to make is, well, do we put the lamp on this side and shine it in here, or do we put the lamp on this side and shine it in here? For our purposes here, we want the light hitting this gentleman, right? You see where, let's just make it a little bit bigger. Oops, come over here. You see where the lamp is hitting him, right? That's the lamp. It's coming from over here. If the lamp was over here, we would be hitting the wall, right? Because that's just the angle. So really, we didn't have a choice where to put the lamp. We didn't really have a choice where to put the bed because we wanted to be shooting through the door. All we did, like I said before, was we just pulled this out. So we pulled it out so we could get a little bit more room further back with the camera because this door, it hit a wall behind it. So we couldn't really be looking in there anymore. Now, what you'll see here is not my favorite. Yeah, it's not ideal with what I would do with a window in this situation. Not for curtains and not for shears, right? Curtains, okay, we can see through them. That's a bit of a bummer because we don't really want to see out there. Shears, okay, I mean, there are the shears. You can feel them. But there's no separation for curtains. And what that means is you get a lot of spill everywhere, right? That light that hits this whole window starts spilling everywhere. So how do we rectify that? How do we deal with it? We just play everything way more down. It would have been cool to get curtains. But I guess the bad part about curtains, or what we would have to do if we had curtains, right? Imagine this isn't just sheer behind his head. Well, now if this is some like dark blue or burgundy, now you've got his dark head on top of a dark curtain. So we would have to reposition him somehow. We would have to do something different. But normally you don't want to see. I always advocate for not seeing the full window in a setup like this. The much easier shot to manipulate the light is like that. Because then we can bunch up these shears really thick in the shot. And then we can light over here through the shear that isn't in the shot. So we're not taking away near as much level. Definitely works if you are struggling for level. Like if you don't have enough lamp for the space that you're in, you want to do that trick. If you see the whole window, this puts you at a huge disadvantage. And so much so, don't quote me on this, but so much so, I believe what we ended up having to do, because there's neg all the way inside here, I think what ended up happening is we used that little Source 4 LED light that I've talked about for the last 15 videos and just shined it up in this corner over here to add a little bit of ambient push everywhere because we were struggling for lamp level out there. Like the lamp level, okay, it hits him, but then we weren't getting enough like push all into the room. So what you would do is over here in this corner, you take your little Source 4 LED, why is the pen gone small? And you shine it into the wall up here. And then that gives you a little bit of glow that looks like it's coming from the window, but we don't have to light up the window any more than it already is. Okay, so that's our look. You'll also see cut off a whole bunch of this because again, in here we have some more neg just taking away. Level, this is free depth. Anytime you have a mirror, what you don't want to do is see yourself in the mirror, and it takes like a little tiny block you just put behind the mirror to angle it at just the right angle so you're not seeing yourself or the second camera. And in this case, the second camera, which is all handheld, is on an easy rig just here looking this way at our gal. So the only thing that isn't in here, we've got one light outside, one light going into the roof over here, bouncing back this way, and then neg over here, neg over here, neg on the ground. The only thing that you can't see here is just the haze, right? And I would say that this is the perfect volume of haze. You can't really feel it. It just opens up the shadows. And it might be hard to tell from the still, like the quality of the still. But man, there's tons and tons of detail there in the shadows. You can play this up or you can play it down. It really comes down to grade. So now when we come in here, we don't really change anything. The only thing you'll probably notice between these two is that there's less level back here, right? There's less level here. And these are sort of untouched stills here than there is here. That's just because it's filling the room more. This lamp up here is filling the room more, and so is this M40 outside. It's just filling out the room more. And as we get tighter, we can just take that level down because now we're not seeing the window. Right now, this is like the perfect angle inside of this room where, see how you can see a little bit to this side of her head? Well, that kind of looks like Africa, what I've done there. Look at me. Anyway, you can see a little bit over here. Why? Now I'm operating this camera, right? We're going to call this the A camera. B camera, this is the B camera shot. I am not operating this shot, but I am operating this one, which means as I'm sitting here going, what would look good is a lot of the times you would put in a shot like that, but then you get this giant clump of really dark down hair. And, if we had time, if this wasn't, the 15th setup of the day that we were trying to get, you would say, okay, well, I just need to add a little bit of ambient to push back in here. We don't have the time to do that. So it's like, rather than have a big giant black blotchy spot there, why don't we just open it up a little bit? I'll come back a little bit wider, angle around this way, and then we get to see a little bit of light. Because then it goes light, dark, lighter, and then you can see the matte on the matte box there, which is always good. And we shot these on the Zelmas, on the Apollos. These lenses, everyone on the crew, except myself and the director, did not like the lenses. Myself and the director, we loved them. You cannot get this look any other way. These lenses are funky. You turn them wide open and it looks like complete mush. You put it down half a stop and it's like, yeah, that's pretty nice. Full frame, anamorphic, please. So I think like when you would actually see the cut, it'd probably be something like this, the frame, right? Because you'll lose a certain percentage of the sides. I think that's why you can see that matte there. Anyway, and then like, okay, are we wrapping the light around? Are we adding like a little poly over here? No, that is not this kind of job. If you wanted to pretty this up, like make it a little bit more Hollywood slick, what would you do? You would of course add that wrap just so it wasn't quite as harsh. But then you'd probably chuck in like, I don't know, let's say there's a prac over here and that'll be our little edge light, just something a little bit different. We're not doing that. We don't have time. We go from this shot to come in here. The only thing we're changing is we're bringing the neg closer and we are turning off or reducing that LED that is bouncing in the background. That's it. No changes. And when you come here, this is a beautiful flare that is picked up off of the M40 that is outside, that is shining through here. Because remember, we're not moving it. We're shooting these two shots, this one and this one at the same time. Two cameras in a really tiny, tiny little room. And this would have been the 75, and my guess is this would have been the 135. Okay, we've only got one set of lenses, so it's not like we can be on dueling matching lenses. So this is the 135 or the 100, probably the 135, my guess. And Elliot did a great job. You just find the little flare, you play with it. Would you be doing face painting with your daughter in a room that was this dark and this hazy and smoked out? No. Nobody cares though, right? Why? Because it looks cool. It's like, I've never done face painting in a place that looked epic like this. It's like, you should try, right? And you should try with 15 people in the room with you, staring at you, just hoping that you hurry up so you can go to lunch. I don't know, give it a shot. Anyway, I like this frame. I like this lighting. This was very much though, like however we make it in the wide, however we make it in this shot, that's the look. We're not prettying this up at all. There's no added poly. There's no changing anything from these shots. It's like, this is just so happens to be the look. And here you can really feel the haze sort of thicken up as you go on the longer lenses. You can feel it start to compound on itself. But this is what I'm going for. You don't want to see the haze moving, but you want to feel it in the image. And then again, being able to bunch up those shears as much as you can so it's not blown out. If those shears aren't there or those curtains aren't there, becomes a very, very big problem. And also, you can see now, I would call this a more realistic image to what we saw in the day, because this is what we saw in the day. But there's not like, there's not a little prac back here it's like one light in a room. This is it. Let's just be on the right side of the line and we'll continue our day because we have 50 other setups to get through. Yeah, that's the look. We go from storyboard, 1, 2, 3, all completely changed to 1 wide shot. Cut 2. Probably wouldn't cut down the line, right? You'd probably go here to here. do here. Give it a little bit of easy rig float, and we can move on to the other 15 setups that we have to do this day. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. If you have questions, or if you want to see all the other behind the scenes stuff now, this is months ago that we actually shot this job, but I did a whole lead up of the actual Tech Scout and all of that kind of stuff over on Patreon. If you want to support the channel, keep these things going, that's the best way to do it. Many thanks, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.